Hello, and you're very welcome to our online conversation, Insight Matters into the Perimenopause and the Menopause. My name is Dil and I'm a broadcaster, a trainee psychotherapist, and founder of Insight Matters, a psychotherapy, counseling, and wellness service based in Dublin's Capel Street. I started Insight Matters with my wife, Anne-Marie, just over a decade ago, and now we have over 100 talented and gifted therapists working with us. And together we have the privilege of supporting the mental health and wellness of over 600 clients per week. We call ourselves the Tribe, and together, as I said, we support 600 clients nationally and internationally. Do join us here for a series of talks aimed all at empowering you to take charge of your own mental health and wellness. And join me and my guests where we will combine insights and practical tools that can help enhance your overall well-being. And you can get in touch with us at insidematters.ie or info@insidematters.ie, and you can find us on Instagram and whatnot. So, roughly 50% of the population globally will experience the menopause, but we have only just begun to talk about it. And this has meant that many of us have suffered a wide range of distressing symptoms in silence and very much alone. And today I'm joined again by Dr. Zuleika and Dil, who's a counseling psychologist and psychotherapist, to talk about the perimenopause and the menopause. First, Zuleika, how are you?
I'm really well, thanks, Dil. Brilliant to be here again and talking about our favorite subject at the moment.
This is our second week in a row talking about this. So a little bit of background information. We are hoping to set up a support group because, Zuleika, you were saying that you find that this is an area that really needs support, and as I said in my introduction, it's an area where women have been very much kind of groping in the dark, trying to figure out what is their best thing to do. So, but interestingly, there is the uptake for the support group is not as high as we thought. Why do you think, Zuleika, this is happening?
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I have to say that I was a wee bit stumped initially, and I couldn't understand why we weren't getting a kind of a response. But I suppose since then we've kind of talked a little bit. And I think what has come up is a piece that you've kind of named a bit, Dil, which is denial, not just a river. Yeah. So in Egypt. So who'd have thought? No, and I suppose, in retrospect, it's really completely makes sense. We were talking last week about how we're putting words on something that is taboo. And I suppose we've been connecting that a little bit up with this idea of death and how it can be taboo to talk about death. And we've been talking about that and not kind of put two and two together maybe around the fact that, yes, it's taboo to talk about the menopause. And I wonder why people are not signing up. Yeah. What do you think?
Because because it kind of the penny dropped for me just now, because how many industries are out there that are making a very good living on the prospect of anti-aging, and I think as women, we I know from my mother, and women I was surrounded with when I was growing up, it was a bad thing to get old. It was we resisted aging as much as possible. We dye our hair, we lie about our age. We go looking for cosmetic surgery to maybe circumvent the natural aging process. So obviously the thought of menopause, I think for most women, is like you're kind of over the hill, isn't it? Isn't that how women would perceive that?
Yeah, no, I think you're so spot on. And it's right. And again, we were saying about talking about it, how important it is to talk about this gigantic transition, this massively important transition in our lives, because if we don't talk about it, then we don't know, we don't think about these things, we don't reflect on them, I suppose. And this has really helped me, certainly, to really understand how deep this taboo is. So as you say, there's so much money, so much big business invested in us being a certain way. And here we are, we're kind of evidence of the fact that, we're not that way anymore, and that's not okay. So it feels like we're supposed to kind of keep our heads down or plaster ourselves in Botox and all the rest of it. And as you say, hair dye and makeup and everything, and pretend that Aging is not happening. All those adverts, push back time, don't age, stop those wrinkles. And I suppose menopause is intrinsically linked with that, isn't it? And so it's there's nearly, I'm thinking about the word shame. So there's nearly a shame attached to women aging. Like, what are we, Dil, if we're not that? What are we if we're not sexually attractive anymore? What are we if we're wrinkled and our skin isn't beautiful anymore? What are we if we've got gray hair? Maybe, we need to think about that. What else are we? We're not just that.
And it's interesting because it's also, I always struggle with this for a woman, you have to be feminine, because if you're not feminine, you're not, again, attractive, and that's just something I've experienced in my life. And it's just like there's so many things that women are expected to be.
Yes.
And really the menopause, for many women who have gone through it before me, have said that there's something quite liberating about going through the perimenopause and menopause, because you can finally not give a FUCK about what people are going to think about you, because something happens. It's like, finally I don't have to live up to all these expectations, because it could really be a whole transformative catalyst for a person.
Yeah, no, I think it could be, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. Like, I'd love to be where I'm like, no makeup, no hair dye, no nothing, but I'm not quite there yet. And I suppose that's because I'm one of these, humans who's really susceptible, like I suppose a lot of us out there, to all of this context, all of this cultural context, all of this advertising, all of this stuff that we're all susceptible to. And I feel bombarded by it. And it's almost like we're all been what's the word I'm looking for? Brainwashed into thinking a certain way. So it really requires courage, don't you think? To kind of go against the flow.
If I get my hands on the person who invented heels, I swear to God.
Oh, well.
And I think, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a lesbian, and from the get-go, I've gone against the grain. And I'm not saying I haven't been susceptible to brainwashing as well, but I suppose because I've kind of been a little bit outside of the box, I've looked at women going, there you are, dressed to the hilt on a night out, uncomfortable.
Yes.
At the end of the night, your heels are in your hands, and you're walking through the city center. You're like, asking for trouble, So I think the menopause and the perimenopause, and having that, integrating that piece of information, has still a lot to do with just what, as you said, what does it mean to be a woman? And it's like death is another subject that we don't talk about, but it's part of life. Why can't we think about it, talk about it, and then make it sense for us? Because not every woman is going to have a different experience, and they're going to take a different approach. But at least if you talk about it and look at other women as a resource, as an ally, then surely together we can navigate this potentially tricky stage. Because again, depending on the woman, it could be a walk in the park, and for somebody else it could be an absolute nightmare. But at least you'll have a bit of camaraderie when you're doing it.
No, absolutely. I think that's why we're talking today, right? Because we've both recognized in ourselves that, in going through this process, we've been able to talk a little bit together about our experiences, and I've been able to talk to other people about my experiences. But I wonder, I suppose, what that's like not to be able to do that. What's it like not to be able to feel free to do that? And I know lots of women don't do that and haven't done that. Sometimes it's because they don't, as we were saying last week, they don't actually know that they're going through it. And sometimes it might be for other kind of cultural reasons, or maybe they were raised. So, yeah. And I think what you're saying about, getting together and talking and supporting each other. And there's something also about throwing a kind of a line back to younger women, like throwing a rope back to younger women and helping them kind of, go through it in maybe an easier way than maybe ourselves or previous generations.
How did our mothers go through it? I know my mother was kicking and screaming because she was a fashion model, so she dyed her hair. She's so conscious about her looks, and she went on HRT, so, and it was never talked about. We and I think a lot of people would relate to this, because you kind of saw your mother changing, you're becoming
Yes.
very moody, and
Yeah.
you didn't know why, you
Yeah.
didn't know what's happening, why is she always in a bad mood, and that's
Yeah.
probably because she was carrying this weight,
Yes.
of trying to look a certain way, fill society's expectations of what a woman should look like and act like, and then carrying this kind of secret, as I was
Mm.
saying, what you resist will persist. you know
Yes.
yeah. So,
Yes.
and she
Very
never
sweet.
talked to me about it, so I'm exactly as you said. If you and I can talk about it, at least we can tell our sons and daughters about
Yes.
what this is, so they know what's coming.
So they know what's coming. Exactly. I suppose my mum did talk about it. She talked about her experiences. And it was pretty challenging, I suppose. But I suppose my experience was very different, so I didn't recognize it as such, nor did any of the medical professionals who were
That's
trying to
incredible.
help me. Yeah, I know, and that's what I suppose made me. This is the direct link to me for wanting some kind of a support group so we can talk about it, because I suppose selfishly I'm kind of thinking, well, if that had been there, then I would have known. If somebody had talked to me, if I'd known it was more than just hot flushes and the common pieces that we talk about, then I would have known. Or if a professional had known all of the symptoms, then I would have been told, and I wouldn't have thought that I was, why am I suddenly falling apart with all these things going on? And I know that's a lot of women's experience. So yeah, I think the talking about it piece, and the how, as we keep saying, how it's different for everybody, and to get to know, kind of nearly like a psychoeducational piece, it can be such a wide range of experiences. But I think what you're talking about in terms of who we are without the kind of framework that society puts on being a woman, without that framework, who are we, is a really important question. And I think having a space to be able to talk to other women, that gives us the space to kind of maybe get rid of the shame for an hour or so, and just be with whatever is happening. Because how many women have to leave work in their 50s and they don't know why, but they know they're too anxious or they simply can't do it. How many women's sexual relationships, and of course, if it's sexual relationships, their entire relationships, are just ruined in some cases because they don't know what's going on, and that they can get something to fix it quite easily if they know what it is, or if they can access the right supports. So I suppose that the impacts are so deep, aren't they? If we don't start talking about it, I suppose maybe for different women, as you say, it's not a big deal. Maybe they don't even know they're going through it, but for some women, it is massive.
No, thank you so much for highlighting that, because you're hitting the nail on the head in relation to the impact. It's not just on the individual, the woman itself, but
Yeah.
the people around the woman. So you
Mm,
have the partner, you have
mm,
the children,
mm,
the work colleagues, and
mm.
everybody's going, well, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
What's up with
Yeah.
her? And so people are wondering what's up with her. She's wondering what's up with herself,
Yeah.
and no one's getting to the bottom of it. And there's this woman who's on her own trying to deal with this. It's like, as I said last week, it's like puberty.
Yes.
We all know about what happens to us when we become a
Mm,
teenager.
mm,
If you have children who are like 10, 11,
mm.
12, already you have friends saying, oh my gosh, you're getting really close to that time,
Yeah.
aren't you? What's that going to be like? Everybody's like, oh my God, what's it going to be like? Doors being slammed, and cantankerous teenagers and all that kind of stuff. But so it's interesting. As a society, we kind of accept that. We accept
Yes.
that teenagers are going to be this way because their
Yes.
body is going through monumental changes, and they're being flooded with hormones,
Mm.
and people are almost expecting them to be unreasonable. you know
Yes.
and they make allowances for it. But where
Yes.
is that compassion, and where is that empathy for the women who are on the other side of that
Mm,
journey?
mm,
Because menopause and perimenopause is literally what we go through in our adolescent years, but
mm.
backwards. We are decreasing in estrogen every month or so. But where's our compassion? Where's our empathy?
Where is that compassion? Yeah, where is it? We're getting angry about it. No, absolutely. Where is that compassion for women? And I can't help thinking, or maybe it'd be great if somebody could put me right on this, but I can't help thinking that partly because of the evolutionary piece that's really in this, about fertility and all those kinds of pieces, and partly because we kind of are becoming older, we're aging, and maybe less attractive on the surface in some ways, depending on which way you're looking at it, that we're kind of not so useful anymore. Whereas adolescents, they're coming into their prime, they've got everything to offer, they're going to, do all these kinds of things, but we're kind of seen as lacking maybe in value. If we've been a parent, we've probably coming to the kind of stage where they can stand on their own 2 feet. It's in so many spheres because the value is on how we look, and maybe mothering as well, that it feels like, you've done your stuff now.
Off you go now.
Yeah, like
Push
you're
out
not
the
valuable. Yeah, you're not valuable. So I think it's really important. I'm thinking certainly is for me to really remind myself of what I can do still, of that I'm still useful. And I think this is what hits a lot of women, well, I'm not this and I'm not that. So who the hell am I anymore?
Yeah, and that's where I suppose where I get excited, because when you every time in my life where I've gone through those stages where there's been a massive, like a shake in
Yeah.
relation to my own identity as a person. Who am I? As a previous day, I used to define myself as a broadcaster. I mean, that kind of like was literally ended overnight. Absolutely, I
Mm,
was a huge sense of loss and
mm,
confusion and yeah, all of that. But then, one morning I woke up and there was this little germling. Is it? It's like a little
um,
plant,
uh, I,
seedling.
I know what you mean. Yes, yes,
Yeah, of something. I was like, oh
yes.
wow, okay. So I'm not that, but you know what? I could be
Yes,
this. And
yes.
I went on to train as a psychotherapist. So that's what I'm saying. That sense of loss, or sense of looking at yourself and figuring out who you are, can actually, all I find, can bring a lot of positivity in your life. It's just, I
That,
suppose, that's how
yeah.
you look at it as well.
No, I think that's a really nice, I love that as a kind of a metaphor. It's really beautiful metaphor, and it's true. Like it's also, it reminds me of the idea of post-traumatic growth. That
Hmm.
idea that you go through something traumatic, and it's not just bad stuff that happens, it's good stuff that happens. So this can be experienced as maybe okay, and for some people maybe a little bit traumatic even. Massive change, I suppose, is always going to be difficult on some level, but as you say, this is also an opportunity. So it's also an opportunity for us to rethink ourselves, maybe the way that our identity was previously. If it was, especially if it was grounded in physical beauty, if it's grounded in superficial stuff, maybe this is a really important opportunity for us to do it differently for the next 50 years.
But I think the decider is, and this is what is a lovely segue to our support group, is getting the right support.
Mm,
Because
mm,
again, in all the experiences I had in life, where I experienced trauma, or experienced something
mm,
quite difficult. When I got the right supports, I was able
mm.
to I was able to make lemonade out of lemons. But
Yes.
if you don't get the right supports, that's when you can take the wrong turn, and
Mm,
you can really, I suppose, from a menopausal, perimenopausal point of view, you just internalize everything, and you get angry with the world, and you get
mm,
angry with everyone around you,
mm.
and then you have to quit work, and you
Yeah.
you know you can lose so much. So
Mm,
that's why the support group, I think, can be invaluable
mm.
for women out there who are thinking about, you know what, I want to take charge of this. This is
Yes.
going to happen. Whether I like it or not,
Mm,
it's going to happen. So
mm,
why can't I just talk to other women about this,
mm,
process this, figure
mm,
out what is the right approach to take, and
mm.
then integrate it, and then get on with it,
Mm.
as opposed to kicking and screaming and thinking that this is not going to happen.
No, yeah, you can't stop it. I agree with you, Dil. I think that, as you say, any major transition or anything traumatic, we need each other. We just need people, don't we? And so this is so crucial, and could be so helpful for so many of us.
So we'll leave it there. So like, so
Mm.
people, I hope you got an insight into the perimenopause and the menopause. Please share this video because it's available there on Twitter, on Facebook Live, and on our YouTube channel. And if you're interested, please do consider signing up for the group. It's a 6 weeks program, and you'll find out more information on our website. But also just sign up. Either go to the link on our social media, or just send us go to insidematters.ie and fill out a booking form, and we will get back to you. And if you have any questions at all about what is this group and what are we going to talk about, or if you have any hesitancy, do reach out, because Zuleika and myself will be very happy to talk to you. Zuleika, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Dil. Take care. Bye.
Everybody, thanks very much. And remember, Insight matters for your mental health. And do reach out to us at info@insightmatters if you need us. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.